These two e-mountain bikes have been ridden hard, run into the ground, and cannibalized for parts, but today we're gonna use them for a good cause. After a big flood decimated our area, Austin and his family used their coffee shop as a community hub for distributing supplies. During that time, their business sat there inoperable, but yet they continued to help. But even in the best of times, Austin and his family donate more to our trails than any single entity in the region. Now that's a pretty amazing thing for a small business to be doing, and recently I saw Austin shopping around for e-mountain bikes. See, Austin and his son ride together at Cayuga Mountain Bike Park, and after a few laps, Dad becomes the tow vehicle to keep the session going, and Austin's not getting any younger. And so if we can combine these two e-bikes into one working one, Austin's gonna have a high-end carbon fiber e-bike to ride with his son. But if we want to surprise him, we have to do it before he buys an e-bike himself. And so we've got a lot of work to do. This bike is a size medium, which means it fits Austin. It's the one we're gonna install everything on. That makes that our donor bike. These were both rental bikes, and the life of a rental bike is notoriously brutal. Both of these were from Cayuga Bike Park's rental fleet, and rental bikes have a brutal existence. Once they get old, they get put out to pasture into the e-bike graveyard, which is where I got these. And if you can find a rental e-bike and restore it yourself, it's a great way to get a good deal, but you're gonna have to overhaul the linkage, service the suspension, all things we're gonna have to do with that bike right there. So first things first, let's have a look at our donor bike. Turns on, actually has a relatively full battery. If I can get this paired to my phone, I can use an app to run kind of a diagnostic on it. We're gonna need to remove this part, that's the TCU, to get the Bluetooth pin code, and then we can see what's going on. Okay, it's telling me the system is healthy. Specialized dealer would have like an advanced tool, but I don't, so I've got to start troubleshooting. I'm gonna try just taking the TCU from that bike and putting it in this one and see if it makes a difference, because just two little cables right here. I'm thinking the bike's not gonna behave itself unless we put it on the ground and pedal it. And so I'm gonna put a wheel in the front, pedal it around the driveway, and see if it acts differently. Be careful, because we've only got a working front brake. Yeah, immediately. It's working just like it should. This bike is huge, and everything's making clicking noises, but it's working. Oh, epic dog crap. So this is great. Our donor bike has a fully operational powertrain, but it's gonna get morbid because all these organs are going into that bike over there. We're gonna take it apart and get it cleaned up. This is different than other flip bike episodes because we have a relatively new modern bike that doesn't need a lot of upgrading. We just want to get it running really nice for Austin. However, this bike didn't exactly have highway miles on it. You can see this bolt back here on the linkage. Once we get it out, we can rob a better one off the other bike, but we got our work cut out for us here. That's an old trick I haven't used in a while. You find a Torx bit that's kind of one size up and you hammer it in. The rest of the linkage seems to be coming apart rather nicely, and so we're gonna swap these bearings and then rob whatever hardware we need off the other bike to put it back together. This particular bearing we could probably clean up and use, but they're really cheap to replace. To identify the bearing, just read it. You gotta clean off the surface here, and then there's actually writing on the bearing. But if I didn't have this bearing, it's not that bad. I could service it. You just take a pick and you can pull the little plastic piece out from the middle and then clean it up and grease it and put it back together. I know, there's no audio because your boy Seth ran his transmitter out of batteries, and I did that for like an hour saying probably really important things, but I'll bring you up to speed. I started cannibalizing the other bike to get replacements for things like this bolt. I took out the mid-drive, the battery, and the shock. And now that the linkage has been overhauled and it's all back together, I'm gonna start cleaning up these parts over here so we can start building a bike. I saw this on another YouTube channel. You put your parts in a bag and you put your cleaner in there, then you fill your ultrasonic cleaner with water, submerge the bag, and you don't get everything all messy. Everything is contained to the bag. So we've cleaned up all our parts, our wheels, the mid-drive, and now we're left with this highly visible bolt that holds in the shock. This would be hard to replace because it's got a very specific shank size, and you can see the shape of the head over here. I'm gonna show you how to make it look brand new. First, we're gonna put it in the drill press and sand down the head to get rid of all the rust. Then we're gonna clean it up and put it in gun bluing fluid. Oddly enough, bluing fluid turns it black and provides some oxidation protection, but for good measure, we're gonna oil it, and then when it rusts anyway, Austin can deal with it. Look at the before and after of this thing. That only took a couple of minutes, and this is a really hard to find fastener, and it'll make the bike present a lot better. Next up, we gotta service the suspension. I've got a service kit right here and a bucket for all the nasties. So we're gonna drop these lowers, empty out all that nasty oil, pop some new seals in, fill it back up with fresh oil, and then move on to the rear shock. Now I'm getting excited because this is starting to look like a bicycle, but we're far from finished. As you can see on the charge port, there's all this bluish green stuff. What is that? Well, it's very likely copper carbonate. Makes sense. It was a rental bike. It would get muddy, they'd hose it off, and they immediately plug it into an electrical connector. It's not really that harmful, but it is a good idea for us to clean it up. And the way we do that is we spray contact cleaner on it and hit it with a brush, and it should be good to go. Now, contact cleaner, electronics cleaner, safe to use anywhere on an e-bike. It evaporates extremely quickly, and you can just use rubbing alcohol if you don't have any. They sell it in spray bottles at the drugstore, and you can use it to do the same thing. So the shift housing is in awful shape through and through. It's better that we replace it now with the powertrain out. Now, there is a tube that goes through the frame to guide the cable all the way to the end, but there are some sharp turns, and so you gotta twist it and finagle it and ease it in so that you don't mess up the end of it. Try going in through the back. Got it. So now it's time to install the battery and the motor. Truth be told, I've never worked on a mid-drive e-bike before. Not like this, taking the whole thing apart. It's not really that hard. The rest of it is just like a normal mountain bike. And the electronics part, I'm not intimidated by because I have a background in electronics. But if you don't, it just plugs. It's just remembering what goes where and don't pinch any wires. So I had to tap it with the nylon side of a hammer to get it in. If any of you know of a better way to do it, or if I was doing it wrong, please let me know in the comments, because again, first time I'm working on one of these. So now we're gonna install the fork, but we're gonna do something special for Austin. First of all, carbon P&W handlebars and stem with a light mount on the front, and I've got an integrated multi-tool for him. This one's from Granite, and just like the 1-Up EDC and that little SWAT tool that Specialized sells, it goes in the steerer tube. And to put tension on the bearings, it bolts in through the bottom. And then when you're riding and you need a tool, you can just reach down to your stem, flip this little top open, and out pops the tool, which has several bits. Okay, from here, it should just be like building a mountain bike. This black colored fluid came out of the front brake. It's supposed to be like amber. I can easily tell with just a visual inspection that this derailleur hanger is way out of whack. We didn't have one, we could align it, but I do have one, so we're gonna replace it. I actually did get 2 wheels with this, but they need new tires. I have two 29 inchers right here, so we're gonna mount them up, add some sealant, and then install the wheels so that we can get the brakes aligned and the drivetrain working. I've got forest green pedals. They match the grips perfectly. Might be going overboard a little bit, but I don't care. I have fun with this stuff. Gotta have a fender because this is for the bike park. This one matches perfectly, and it's from Austin's company, Cognitive. He also does my merch. And we need to replace this old tired saddle, and I can hardly believe it. I think it's time to stare at it. So I'm really excited to give this to Austin because he's never sat on an e-bike before. He's never even pedaled one around a parking lot. And so it's gonna be a completely different experience for him. And for that reason, I think this particular e-bike is the best one. It's a Levo SL. SL means it's lighter, it's got a smaller motor, smaller battery. It feels a little bit more like a normal mountain biking experience. And given that Austin was towing his son up the hill with no e-bike whatsoever, I think an e-bike light experience is probably gonna be more preferable for him. I'm showing up at his place to work with this. He knows we're gonna do some bike park laps, but he does not know that I brought him a bike. Austin? Yo, I got something for you.
What? I have no idea what this is.
I'll show you the rest.
Is it the charger for the camera?
Well, what does it say on it?
It's a specialized symbol.
Sure is. Yeah, there's only one thing it could be.
Starting to get some ideas.
Weren't you just shopping around for something?
I have been, as a matter of fact. There's this kid that I've been doing a lot of analog towing at Canuga.
That's the hardest kind of towing.
I'm literally the only person there that ever does that.
All right, right around this corner over here. This was 2 completely clapped e-bikes from Canuga. Callie and Nico gave me both carcasses and I combined them into a bike.
Dude, that's amazing.
So just turn it on, you just press the
power button?
Yeah.
Okay. What mode is it in now?
It's like normal mode, I guess you could say.
Okay, so it's got like 3 bars.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Oh my god. You're gonna get so many downhill laps, it's gonna be ridiculous.
How does it feel uphill?
It feels pretty good. I mean, I think we only have one thing to do right now, right?
Yeah.
What should we do?
Go to Canuga.
Yeah, I think we gotta go to Canuga and turn some laps. First ever e-bike tow for me. Do you trust me?
No.
All right, you ready? You good?
Yeah.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Right now, you're doing some work, but you're not destroying yourself.
No, like you hear me breathing. I'm putting in effort right now.
And Ezra, how are things back there?
That was pretty easy.
Just like before, Dad's putting in the work.
Wow, it gets pretty steep over here.
Super steep.
Who normally leads?
He normally leads.
All right, let's do it. Man, he shreds! Heck yeah! That was awesome. Ezra, shredding. I wonder how many laps you can get in before the end of the day now.
Right, that's the question,
yeah.
You know?
Opened up your coffee shop to the whole community during Helene and everything, and that's who the bike should go to, you know?
Oh, man. Well, thank you.
For real.
This is pretty awesome.
So let's break this down. We did change out the bars, pedals, saddle, and grips, and honestly, it didn't really need any of that. We just did it to make the bike nicer. We also did the linkage. We serviced the suspension. Service kits are expensive. Figure we spent like $100 on things the bike actually needed. And the bikes we built it from, we got for free, and we can't count on that happening a lot. But I did learn something. After the fact, I went on Facebook Marketplace and looked at e-bikes, and they sell for a lot of money. It might be the only thing we can make a profit on. So if we didn't didn't do a whole charity thing here, we probably could have built something that sold for a few $1,000s, and that gets me excited because making a profit on fixing bikes seems to be a thing of the past in 2025. Nevertheless, Austin can now go on the heinous rides he normally does and have fresh legs to spend some quality time with his son. He's over the moon for this bike, and he deserves it. Thank you so much, Callie and Nico from Canuga, for supplying the bikes. And if you didn't notice, Austin's coffee shop has my merchandise all over the place because he's the distributor for it. Cognitive is a mountain bike clothing company first and a coffee shop second. So if you're in the area and you want to support me, you want to support Austin, local businesses, check out Canuga, check out Cognitive, or you can check the link below. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.